What if the legends of yesterday walked into today's NBA? Would modern stars truly dominate Michael Jordan, or be reminded why he was feared like no other?
Jordan's rules were made to negate what Jordan brought to the table. Why? Because he was so dominant.
One of the most telling signs of dominance in any sport is when the rulebook bends because of you. Jordan forced that. His isolation game was so unstoppable that the league literally adjusted defensive regulations to counter him. Think about that. You are so good one-on-one, so lethal in creating offense, that opponents beg the league to stop you.
In isolation, that you literally made it illegal to have two dudes on the same side on a wing offensively in order to deal with it.
This wasn't cosmetic. The rule changed how teams could defend on the wing, allowing zones and more help defense to corral him. If modern players claim they would dominate Jordan, they ignore the fact that he already played in an era designed to slow him down, yet still averaged historic numbers. Today's stars benefit from spacing, from rules that protect offensive players, from freedom of movement. Jordan thrived under the opposite. If anything, giving him modern spacing and modern whistles would tilt the floor even more in his favor. Imagine Jordan today with his first step, with defenders unable to hand check, with lanes wide open and shooters pulling defenders away. The idea that modern players would dominate him collapses right here, because Jordan lived through a system intentionally built to neutralize him, and he still shredded it.
They talked about we don't know what he is. I love when John Sally said when they were taping The Last Dance and stuff, and they had a line in there. He said,
Players from Jordan's own era admitted something unthinkable. They didn't believe he was human on the court. John Sally's words during The Last Dance reveal the truth. Teams had to hit him before takeoff because once airborne, he became unstoppable. That wasn't trash talk, that was survival.
the rule was get him before he gets airborne, because you know he's not human, right? You know he's not human. You know what I'm saying? Because
modern athletes are freakishly athletic, but no player today inspires that exact fear. No one talks about Giannis, Steph, or LeBron like they aren't human. They're respected, yes, but not mythologized mid-game by their own rivals. Jordan's elevation wasn't just vertical, it was mental, it was psychological. His opponents treated him as an alien force, someone whose presence warped defensive schemes and broke logic. If today's stars think they could dominate Jordan, they should ask themselves, have they ever commanded that type of raw fear? If not, then Jordan already played at a level that transcends the conversation of domination. Modern athletes might match him in vertical leap or raw sprint speed, but nobody has replicated the aura that forced opponents to abandon basketball logic and say, get him before he leaves the ground, because once he's up, you're finished.
visual in the history of the sport invented by James A. Naismith, who had one patented move that was never duplicated nor ever stopped.
Stephen A. Smith points out that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had the only truly unstoppable move in NBA history, the skyhook. It was never duplicated, never blocked consistently, and never solved. Yet, even with Kareem's dominance, LeBron is ranked above him in some lists. The key takeaway isn't just Kareem's singularity, it's what Jordan did without a patented move.
That's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I have LeBron ahead of him.
He didn't need one unstoppable shot. His entire game was unstoppable. Fadeaways, mid-range pull-ups, acrobatic finishes, baseline jumpers, post spins. Jordan had an arsenal so wide that defenders couldn't key in on one thing. Kareem may have had a singular weapon, but Jordan was the Swiss Army knife of destruction. In a modern context, that adaptability matters. Today's players often rely on system-based strengths, three-point volume, pace, switching defenses. Jordan wasn't bound by system. Drop him into today's league, and he doesn't need to develop one unstoppable move. He already had dozens. Modern stars would find themselves overwhelmed not by a hook shot, but by a player who could beat them every way imaginable.
Yeah. Jordan, when you look at him, you look at today's generation of players.
When you put Jordan against today's players directly, the temptation is to lean into visible differences: speed, athleticism, three-point shooting. But Jordan wasn't operating at a deficit. He was already among the fastest guards, strongest mid-size wings, and most creative scorers of his era. What he lacked in modern training, he compensated with obsessive discipline. Drop him into today's generation with access to year-round trainers, advanced diets, recovery technology, and shooting coaches, and you wouldn't see him struggle. You'd see him ascend even further. It's misleading to assume evolution in athletes somehow skips Jordan. He would have evolved with the times. Modern players wouldn't be dominating him. They'd be adjusting to his new version, even more polished, even more efficient, fueled by the same obsessive willpower that already set him apart.
Away from the fact that today's generation of players look better than they've ever been. They're faster, they're more athletic, they clearly can shoot better to some degree.
Yes, today's athletes look sharper. They're quicker, taller, better conditioned, and deeper in skill sets like long-range shooting. But to suggest Jordan couldn't keep up is short-sighted. He already showed signs of expanding his game. Analysts admit that no one would ever say Jordan couldn't have been an elite three-point shooter if he prioritized it. He simply didn't need it in his era.
Look at him and say he could never, be a big guard and do what Kobe did. Well, there's no one that would look at him and say he could never do what LeBron James did with the no hand check.
The mid-range was king, and Jordan mastered it to a level few ever reached. In today's NBA, he would have adapted the same way he perfected everything else. The myth that Jordan would be outdated ignores the reality of his career arc. Every obstacle led to a new skill. Pistons, physicality, he bulked up. Defensive rules, he found new angles. Scouting reports, he diversified his moves. So if today's stars dominate through shooting, spacing, or pace, Jordan would simply add those tools to his bag. You cannot dominate someone who refuses to stay static.
Because this brother in isolation would destroy people. He'd rip souls. You understand? And these are...
The heart of Jordan's dominance lies in isolation. Strip away the noise, teammates, systems, coaches, and the question becomes, who wins one-on-one? That's where Jordan thrived. His ability to break down defenders, to toy with them, to not just score but mentally dismantle them, is unmatched.
LeBron, to me, is top 2 all time. Now, if you disagree, you disagree.
He didn't just beat you. He ripped your soul, as Smith puts it. Modern stars thrive in isolation too, but often in spacing-friendly schemes that give them clean lanes. Jordan did it in traffic, against hand-checking, against brutal fouls. Imagine giving him modern spacing. Imagine watching defenders with today's no-hand-check rules trying to contain his first step and mid-air creativity. He wouldn't just survive, he'd thrive to a degree that modern defenders have never been forced to handle. Domination goes both ways, and Jordan would flip the narrative entirely.
He didn't retire, and remember, we keep acting like he retired to baseball. No, he retired after his father died. His father died, and he wanted to leave the game.
LeBron is arguably top 2 all time, but context matters. Jordan's story isn't just about trophies. It's about the sacrifices behind them. He left basketball not just for baseball, but because of the devastating loss of his father. That 2-year gap robbed him of prime years. Even so, he came back and reclaimed the league instantly. Today's players don't carry that weight.
Thorpe, Sam Cassell, they beating Jordan and Pippen and them in the finals back-to-back.
When modern stars take breaks, it's often for rest or injury management. Jordan's break was forced by tragedy. And yet, he returned sharper, hungrier, and more relentless. If modern stars think they could dominate him, they should consider whether they could leave their sport for 2 years, face grief, and still reclaim dominance immediately. That resilience is domination on a level they haven't experienced.
Whoa, I don't know that.
I believe, okay, we
I don't know that. That's speculative.
None of us.
Those 2 years Jordan was gone, Houston took advantage, winning 2 titles. But analysts agree, if Jordan had stayed, the Bulls likely win 8 straight championships. Think about that. 8 straight championships. Not broken up by super teams, not interrupted by fatigue, not derailed by injuries. 8 in a row. Modern stars can barely manage back-to-back titles, let alone 3-peats. The idea that anyone in today's game could dominate Jordan ignores the scale of his reign. Even his absence became proof of his dominance, because the moment he left, the throne was vacant and new champions emerged. But with him, there was no opening. Domination means closing doors on every rival. Jordan didn't just close doors, he locked the league behind him. Modern players would never dominate a man who erased competition so completely that history still imagines what more he could have taken. Modern players are faster, they're taller, they shoot more threes. But domination isn't about cosmetics, it's about control. Jordan controlled his era so completely that even rule changes, even rival superstars, even personal tragedy couldn't stop him. Every quote, every testimony points to the same truth. Jordan wasn't just a product of his time, he was the standard that broke time. Today's athletes could challenge him, yes. They could push him, frustrate him, maybe even steal a game or two. But dominate him? Number. The evidence is overwhelming. Michael Jordan would still reign supreme, even in today's NBA.